Greetings, Dr. Joseph Martin here for you. Rebirthing, regenerating, recalibration, resurrection, which is life's greatest mission. Our topic now is rebirthing. This is actually a spiritual, medical, scientific technique that is an ancient one. It was available for the people in Lemuria and Atlantis, and certainly throughout the whole Hindu tradition and Hindu culture for 9,000 years. And it has been brought back to the global village world in the 1970s, which was the greatest decade of enlightenment and emancipation since the Italian Renaissance. Just in that decade alone, Babaji Nagaraj, who is also known as Haidakhan Baba, who is in fact Krishna and Shiva incarnate, has, through the auspices of a gentleman by the name of Leonard and also Sondra, brought the technique of rebirthing back to the global village now in our time for the benefit and health and longevity and healing of all the peoples of the world. Now, I myself trained in rebirthing in the 1970s at the University of Toronto medical faculty. I happen to be a medical faculty person who brought this technique as well. And one of my Jungian analysts as well. We were all involved in this 40 years ago. At that time, I was doing 3 to 4 hours of rebirthing every day, and I still do it. However, now it's my autonomic nervous system that automatically does this breathing on, day in, day out, night after night. Now, why is rebirthing important? And then we'll also get into what it is and how it works and what the process is. Why is it important? Well, even in this logical world, you can do without thinking for at least 8 hours a night when you're asleep. And while you may be able to go without water or food for 2 or 3 days, you cannot go without breath and air for more than 5 or 6 minutes, otherwise you will die. So it's very clear to say, as we all know scientifically, that breath is the essence and the key and the core for living. The oxygen in the breath is what oxygenates the brain, the nervous systems, the two of them, all the ATP, ADP processes in the proteins and the cellular awareness, and also, of course, in the DNA. Every organ requires oxygenation, and the metabolism-catabolism process that we're aware of in biology all works with oxygen and oxygenation. Now, we don't need to go into the medical aspects of this too much, but we will go into that a bit later on in this video. Well, now, Babaji Nagaraj felt that it was very important for all the peoples in the 20th and 21st centuries and the centuries going forward for them to be aware of the one great scientific medical technique and process that would avail themselves of getting through life with all the fears, the anxieties, the panics, the sadnesses, the guilt, the shame, and also the anger and the rage that we all feel in this very complex, discombobulated, disharmonic, dystopian world that we seem to be living in. Going forward with all the challenges we face personally, in our family, with our health, with our relationships, with our mental health, and with our self-worth, we need to be able to share this with others. Now, it's my hope and goal and intention that going forward within the next few years and decades, all the children in your family and yourself and in the schools of the world will be able to relearn this ancient scientific medical technique and process. So let's look at it. What is rebirthing? Rebirthing is a continuous merging of the inhalation and exhalation of the breath so that the source or the life power energy of the universe, the chi, the prana, the orenda, whichever you choose to call it, has an influx and an outflux in through the body, the organs, the tissues, the nervous systems. Now, everything in the universe works on compression and expansion, and so it is with inhalation and exhalation of the breath. Unfortunately, or just the truth of the matter is that at birth, and maybe even sometimes within the mother's womb, there isn't sufficient oxygenation of the fetus, and certainly at birth, most children, or babies, shall we say, are not able or capable of finding their own original breath. So Otto Rank, or Rank as you might want to call him, was one of the great psychologists, psychiatrists of the early 20th century, a student of Freud's, and many others as well, who were interested in what he calls the birth trauma. And having been a psychologist myself and an energy medicine scientist and researcher and clinician for well over 40 years now in this life, I realized that the birth trauma for myself personally and all the people I knew, including my clinical clients, had experienced a shutdown, a blockage. It was not only a limbic system problem or an autonomic nervous system problem, an unconsciousness, an inability to find positive mental thoughts and getting over the old negative belief systems. It resided in another one of the four energy bodies, and that would be the emotional energy body. Whereas all those emotions I mentioned, the archaeology of emotions, from anger and rage and shame and guilt on the surface, to sadness, grief, loneliness, and depression in the middle range, and fear and despair and terror, actually, dread for the future in the lower levels of the unconscious. Now, rebirthing as a technique has been invaluable for me, although I've used for myself and trained in and also used with thousands of my clients and workshop attendees, over 60 modalities. I would say that this rebirthing technique is the most potent, powerful, useful, key, core technique and process to utilize on your own. And by the way, it's free once you learn how to do it, and I would highly recommend that you source out a really qualified, long-standing rebirther wherever you are in the world. And if you're really interested, please do contact me through YouTube if you're interested in this. I have an associate who would be willing to do this process with you on Skype or over the phone or FaceTime. Now, so what happens in a session? Typically, a session would be an hour and a half. You would be lying on your back, being very comfortable. There would be some discussion of your core issues, some of the negative belief systems that you inherited from your karmas in your past lives, or from your parents, or your older siblings, or your society, or your peers. And then you would be also focusing on certain kind of, obviously, fears would be the deepest emotions to cleanse. Now, just in passing, though, I would highly recommend that every one of you acknowledge the fact that the four energy bodies that we are come from the ancient science in the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana, and many of the other ancient Hindu and Buddhist sacred texts. While materialistic science kind of reigns and rules the world at this time, we know that within 550, 500 years, we will understand that the human being is four energy bodies. And rebirthing is probably one of the only techniques and processes and science that deals with all four energy bodies. That would be the spiritual etheric body, which is where all the life force or prana or chi exists in the universe. And it's your home and source, and it's the source of the chi that you get when you're inhaling in this way. Then we have the mental-causal body, which includes the superconscious mind, it includes your conscious ego mind, and it includes your subconscious, everything you once knew and have forgotten in this or past life, and your personal unconscious, which is things you've yet to bring to the consciousness, and also the collective unconsciousness, as Carl Jung would talk about. What will you experience? Let's just start with the physical body. Here's what you will experience. you will be facilitated and enjoined and inspired to close your eyes and lie on your back and start to move into that cycle of healthy inhalation, exhalation as one full round breath. Now, as I said at birth, you never got your breath and you actually stopped. You all know that when you're having a panic attack or feel anxiety or fear, you literally stop breathing. That is so bad for your body, physical. It's bad for your emotions because you can get stuck in that fear and anxiety and panic. How many of you know what I'm talking about? And it's bad for your mind because you get set in untold negative belief systems that you'll never be any good, it's never going to work for you, and so on and so on. I'm sure all of you, like myself, have experienced this in the past. And also on a spiritual level, of course, we all need to regain that energetic link to the source which is in our heart and all the chi and prana around us. So here's what you will experience when you start your rebirthing. Typically, of course, you would do 10 1.5-hour sessions to get started, but we'll just talk about what happens when you start to breathe. You will be encouraged to continue the inhalation, exhalation to get a full, round, harmonic, circular breathing going, so that will retrain your autonomic nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, to start a whole pattern of keeping breathing at all times, day and night, no matter what you're experiencing, thinking, or feeling. You may start to drift off, at which point your facilitator will enjoin and encourage you to continue the deep, slow, full diaphragmatic breathing. Now remind yourself that most of us have 1 or 2 liters of lung capacity and only breathe from the throat down into the upper parts of the bronchioles and the lungs. When you continue your rebirthing throughout your lifetime, you will be able to, like myself, have 5, 6, maybe even 7 liters of oxygenation in every breath when you learn to breathe way down into the pelvis and the lower diaphragm, in the dantian, as we call it in Chinese traditional medicine, TCM, and in Ayurvedic medicine, both of which are important for us to study as I have. You may start to feel like you're zoning out. It's perfectly safe. You are simply going into your body, because this rebirthing is a technique of grounding you in your physical body. Most people are cut off at the neck and always in their head and out of their bodies, racing around crazy in what we call koyaanisqatsi, or life out of balance. Rebirthing will ground you and center you down into your physical body, all your organs and all your chakras, and down your spine to your toes and into the earth. And this is very important for you to become stable, harmonious, and balanced and grounded in your body. Now, it also, on a psychological level, as I said, it actually breaks up the blockages of energy, whether it's found in the proteins or the cells or the DNA or the organs, particularly the kidneys, the lungs, and the liver are detoxified with this enhanced oxygenation. And also, the oxygenation will not only block the stale energies that are blocked there, it will start to enhance and revitalize, recirculate, recalibrate, regenerate, reorganize, and in fact resurrect, which all these terms are scientific medical terms, which means bringing back to life, getting rid of the stale, dead energies and the blockages, whether they're, yes, mental, unconscious, or conscious belief systems that are negative, emotional states that you've been living with your whole life, and they all have been somaticized into your physical form and body. These must, if you want to be healthy and live a long, healthy life, and worry-free, and cancer-free, and all these other illnesses that so many get with heart and stroke and so on, it would be very valuable and wise of you to do the rebirthing and do it right away. Start now. Now, as you can see, and I've shared with you before, I've been through so many medical conditions since the day before I was born, and it's all in my autobiography, Living in Two Worlds, and here you see a copy of it here. Through the rebirthing technique that I have used for over 40 years, I have continually released all the challenges, whether they're bacteriological, virological, nerve systems that were based on viral problems, and all the other things with my heart, with my lungs, with my muscles, with my joints, with inflammation and so on, simply through doing this rebirthing. And once again, isn't it great that it's free? And there's no GST on it. That's quite a wonderful thing, isn't it? So, we now know that it actually removes some of the lactic acid that's built up in the muscles, which gives our muscles stress and tension and makes us tired. The oxygenation of the muscles alone will release the carbon in the lactic acid and will be flushed out as you drink water when you're finished your session. It's very valuable to drink, maybe say lots of water, good alkaline, and maybe a bit of squeeze of lemon, organic lemon in it. Also, the skin and so on, it revitalizes the skin, it revitalizes the eyes, it gives a shine to the eyes, it embraces your palate and all your sensations come back to life, the sound, the music, the birds, everything about you. It does a myofascial release, which is the tension just under the skin that is stuck like a gelatinous kind of glue to the muscles, and it will release the myofascial tension and stuckness. And also, there's so many medical benefits to this. I could go on and on. I'm just trying to remember them all here for you. It balances and improves the immune system. So if you have any sense of ongoing illnesses, H1N1, colds, flus, whatever you may have, I would highly suggest that, the rebirthing will benefit you greatly with that. It improves your sexual abilities, so whether you're a man or a woman, so that absolutely will give you more energy, more vital sexual energy. Now, some of you, I'm not totally encouraging you to do this. Rebirthing is always a first step. But through the Kundalini Kriya Yoga, which is also brought back to our time worldwide by Babaji Nagaraj, or you might know him as Haidakhan Baba, then you will also feel the energy of the spiritual etheric energy flowing up from the bottom of the spine from what we call the root chakra. And many of you are familiar with this now. It's a worldwide phenomenon in yoga and meditation, to move up the spine through the cerebrospinal fluid and the Sushumna, which is between the Ida and the Pingala, to move up through all the chakras, the chakra of the belly and the one with the willpower here at the bottom of the sternum, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra. And there actually are 16 chakras, not just 7. One below the bottom of the feet, which is the earth chakra, if you like, and there's some up above you that go through other chakras, leading you back to source. And this is an energetic chi reconnection, recalibration, reopening, resurrection to you to actually energetically be connected to the source of all the universe in the metagalactic central sun. Very important, because you will not be able to sustain your physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual health if you are a closed system, which is what happens when you're born and you're stuck and you don't get your original, what we could call cosmic or original human breath. What rebirthing actually does is it reopens up the system, breaks apart all the blockages, and they're all energetic, whether they're in the mind, the emotions, or in the physical form, and once again links you to the ever resounding and resilient supply of infinite chi in the universe, so that you can avail yourself of this and stay in the flow. So it's very Taoistic. It's very much about joining in the flow again so that you can energize yourself at any time. For instance, I work very hard doing all these YouTubes. I've done 180 of them in 7 months. And I do a lot of other things here in Victoria as a real estate agent and many other businesses that I run. All it takes for me is to do anywhere from 2 to 7 breaths to recalibrate and re-energize and recharge my autonomic nervous system and that kind of circular flow of the inhale-exhale, and get back in feeling that energy just tingling up through the bottom of my feet, all the way up through my body, the top of my head, and I'm instantly recharged. This is one of the great things about rebirthing. It is some technique that's scientific, it's medical, it's ancient, it's very positive, it's very powerful. It's something that you can do to create self-determination and find some empowerment in your life. Find an enhancement of courage and self-confidence and self-worth. I myself, it's not just the endorphins and enkephalins that start being released biochemically from my brain when I do this rebirthing. It's just a grounded, centered wholesomeness and wholeness that I feel throughout my whole being of my four energy bodies, which, as I said, are the spiritual, mental, emotional, and the physical body. This sense of wholeness and groundedness is the most thrilling thing you can ever experience, and I would highly recommend it for you as well. It truly is a great gift from Babaji Nagaraj, Haidakhan Baba, to bring back to all the peoples and the children and the elders of the world of all backgrounds, races, and cultures. It's simply an ancient, now a neo-modern, scientific medical technique of connecting with all that is and the chi and the energy that will sustain you. You know, I wish for you that you'd find someone who can do the rebirthing, that you take this very sincerely. Babaji Nagaraj is blessing you in this process. And I would say that you will find the courage and the strength and the decision to be yourself, to have the passion, to have the life that you know you can have for yourself. It will bring you all the energy. It will bring you heightened intuition, which may be one of the most significant things about rebirthing. It will give you that feeling and that consciousness, that higher superconsciousness of connecting to all that is. Now, some of you might have some notions that you've heard about rebirthing, and I want to dispel them right now once and for all. Some of you think that it's too much hyperventilation. Well, it's got nothing to do with hyperventilation. Hyperventilation is when you are afraid and anxious and panicking in your mind and your emotions, your body, and you shut down and stop breathing. And you forgot that you're not even breathing. Well, the autonomic nervous system, to stop you from fainting and dying, will automatically just then start to kick in and make you hyperventilate. That is the opposite of what we're talking about. On the contrary, what rebirthing is called just balanced, harmonious, maybe even super ventilation, where your body and your autonomic nervous system gets used to continuous, slow, deep, real, authentic breathing, slowing it all down, just nice, deep, slow breaths. And that's safe. It's even more healthy than any other kind of breathing you may be doing up until this point. And it will engage the body and the brain memory. So eventually, if you've been doing this for a little while, or a few months maybe, you'll constantly be doing this breathing. And it will extend the age and the range of your life, create health at all times in your body, enhance your immune system, your sexual energies, your mental energies. And by the way, just on a mental note, your focus, the sharpness of your mind, the clarity of your mind, the ability of your mind to open up, and all of this comes with rebirthing. There's nothing else that I've found. This is so natural, it's innate to the human being. And I would highly recommend that you take the time to go online and check it out. There's a book, the original book, Rebirthing in the New Age by Leonard. And there are several books by Sondra Ray. Both of these people I have met and trained with. And there are many others as well. And also I will remind you that not only I have one of my colleagues and my best associate here who's capable and willing and ready and able to support you in your training and your process, but it is the substance that's talked about in the book that I wrote with my associate Miriam Sanoa, in a book called Traveling Light, which is an over 550-page manual, a self-help manual, in which rebirthing and this oxygenation and the healing breath work for spirit, mind, emotion, body is talked about extensively. Well, you can obviously see that I'm excited about this. I want to share this with you on this very powerful, special day. It's July 1st. It's Canada Day here in Canada. I wish you all well. I wish you all health, all happiness. By the way, it does bring a lot of joy. That's the whole point of rebirthing. It brings infinite joy. If joy and happiness is what you're seeking and you haven't found a natural way to do it, try the rebirthing. All my love and blessings to you, Dr. Joseph Martin, and we'll see each other once again. Om Namah Shivaya. May you always be healthy and wise, and may the rebirthing of Babaji Nagaraj and all the great ones of our time and in past times take you forward in your highest consciousness for the highest good of all involved. Om Namah Shivaya.